All right. We might as well get started. It looks like everybody's here. Just make sure we're recording, which we are. Brad and Dale are on board. So I didn't expect a large group today. So we didn't get a large group, which is great. We're also going to be recording this so that we can play it back later on. Looks like all the tech is working now. So Aaron, you're ready to go?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay. All right. Brad, Dale, my name's Bruce from the Joinery Coach. I think we've met and talked before. Thanks for showing up. This is really just a casual demo of Jobman, just a real quick run through, just to give everybody a little bit of a taste and a feel for what it does. We're not going to get into too much of how it does things because we haven't got time. And if you want to learn more, you can contact Aaron directly and he can run through it in more detail with you. But I've had a lot of people over the last few weeks just contacting me saying, you know, can you tell me more about Jobman? And while I can do that, I think it's better if we do it as a group. And certainly a live demo like this is going to do that very effectively. So just to give you a little bit of background, a lot of my clients in the Joinery Coach needed some sort of a tool to run their business. And running the business isn't always, you know, a manual thing. And in fact, it should rarely be a manual thing. I think it's pretty fair to say, Aaron, that we've automated most things, you know, in the CNC world and the design. We've got to try and automate the business, don't we?
That's correct.
So, you know, there's been all kinds of software out there in the world that I've tested and seen and worked with. And some of it good. Most of the good stuff is really, really, really expensive. Some of the other stuff that's not so great. But when I say not so great, usually I mean it's not so great because it doesn't go end to end. So it might be good software, but it's missing some pretty key components, like it might be missing CRM or inventory, or it might be missing
Quoting,
you know, so stuff like that. It's good software, but for me, it's just another silo, another sort of a department in your business that, you know, creates more cost. So when I came across Jobman, for me, it was really exciting because Aaron and the boys at Jobman have really taken this thing to the next level. You know, over the last few years, you've really taken it and turned it into great software for joinery businesses. And it is end to end. So for me, that ticked all the boxes. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to Aaron. Unfortunately, we can't get Aaron's camera to show his beautiful face. So you've got to look at my ugly mug. But without further ado, this is Aaron from Jobman, and I'll let him run through a quick demo. And boys, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to type into the chat box anytime, and I will let Aaron know.
excellent.
All right, Aaron.
Hey, guys.
Take it away.
Cheers. Dale, have I spoken with you recently? Can Dale hear me?
Yes.
Dale can hear you, but he can't talk at this stage. Otherwise, we get too much feedback.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jobman runs in Google Chrome, Safari, so it's platform independent. Username, password, like any browser, you're into your software. Depending on who you are, gives you what access level you have as a user. The access can be set by a level 5 person, where they can delete records and edit records and have access to the admin. People using the software can choose what they want to see, how they want to see it, and pick any bit of information that's important to their login. So that goes to the same for all the screens. So you can choose the layout and how it all works. Okay, so every person that's got to log into Jobman can see the information that's relevant to their position. So right from the outset, and I'm going to go through everything pretty quickly.
Yep.
I'm just going to turn my sound down on my speaker. I'm hearing myself too much, and that's a bad thing.
But I'll just jump in here for a sec, Aaron, because I kind of look at it through a newbie set of eyes as well. The basic overview is over to the left of the screen. You've got your sort of go-to choice bar, I guess you'd call it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Where if you're using the software on a day-to-day basis, this is what you'd see. You'd see the general screen. But then you've got another area where you choose your specifications for things.
Yep. So you've got specifications where you can set all your material, brands, heights, finishes, thicknesses, styles. Styles are a new thing for picking your door matrices. So they're referencing an actual price matrix.
Yep.
Without getting into too much depth, but you've got the appliance accessories where we can set all that information up. And then into the level 5 stuff, where is all the setup information from where you get going with Jobman.
Yeah, so this screen is where we do all the changes in the setting.
Correct.
Yep.
And this is, you rarely go into this unless, you might want to look at the staff attendance map and see where people are logging on and logging off from.
Yeah, so if you've got sites going on, you can see this at a glance.
Exactly.
Yep, cool.
So from the outset, Jobman is a CRM. You can have as many, excuse me, you can have as many contact types as you like here. Different contacts do different things. So here we've got the room type. You can have suppliers where the purchase order email goes, builders, so forth, where the lead or the job is contacted with builder information. Depending on the amount of contacts, you can just keep adding contacts to any contact and their designation and independent information.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to email and you can pick templates and email straight away information that is relevant to this client, or email your salesperson, say, please contact this client. They're ready to start looking at a kitchen or so forth and so on.
Actually, this was one of the things that really blew me away, was the ability to have all your emails incoming and outgoing.
Yeah, it's only outgoing of Jobman. Jobman isn't an email client as such as the emails come in, but it's a place for storing all your emails. So anything just incoming at the moment.
Incoming, yeah.
Goes into your inbox, and then you choose what is relevant to the job, and you paste that into the correspondence.
Right.
So there is a plan very shortly, is to have your email client, like with Yahoo, Hotmail, and it'll scan your inbox for the settings and basically look for the job number or the lead number and put that information into Jobman. And that'll be an opt-in option for people if they want that. But meanwhile, you can send all information going out of Jobman. You can, not so much in here, but you can add attachments and everything else if you need to in every other part of the software.
Yeah.
So
communication's a big impact.
Jobman, yeah, you don't have to go through the sales process with Jobman. You can jump straight into a job. If someone walks in with a deposit, you can start straight with a job. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to walk a quick quote through from the whole sales process, turn it into a job, create an invoice, walk it through the factory, look at bits and pieces as they're happening and some features of Jobman, and hopefully we get a bit of an overview of what Jobman's about.
Sounds good.
So from the sales, we've got the leads. Here we've got all the filters, so we can choose to show finished filters or not finished filters. We can take certain filters off that are there, and the information just shows as we want. Something I really like is the way we identify what a lead is. So it's the year, month, and the amount of leads we've done for that month. So straight away we can see that we've done 10 leads for last month.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a quick identifier just to see where it's all at.
And just to jump in, just to be really, really clear with everybody on the line right now, a lead is anything that's been entered, and you can choose when you enter someone, what the reason for that is. And it's anybody that hasn't purchased from you yet. So a lead is not a job, but a lead becomes a job.
Yeah, because the lead might not go ahead. So you can go through all the steps and process and track the time associated with pursuing that lead, and do a report and see how much the leads are actually costing you. And because you've got all the different lead types, you can filter down which type of leads are costing you and which type of leads aren't. So you've got, with all the different types of information, you've got lots of all the different types of reports.
Yeah.
Okay. So this, just something I'll quickly point out, all this information is documented on our documentation website. So that is right there. And I'll just go there. So it's documentation.jobman.com.au. And this is where I'm actually putting components in here to do with like videos and how to use this software.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's all documented there.
All the training is there pretty well right now, but always growing and improving, isn't it?
Always growing. And we've got a business coach involved who's really cracking the whip on all that side of it. So here we go. We're going to create a lead. We're going to pick the client. We can just start typing that in. So it might be BE, and there we've got one there. If it's a residential client, it populates the site address details through. And the important part here is to pick the lead type. Okay, we can refer to this lead by the surname or the address, and we can pick what they're interested in. If the contact, and we'd already picked those there in the contact, they would populate. As soon as I click save, it disappears for a second. That actually registered the lead type and it's set the checklist, which can be different for all the different lead types. So we can have a different flow and ask different questions and have different statuses for different lead types. Same with job types. We can have different workflows than we can have yeah, I'll get into that later. So we can progress the dates forwards or backwards or both ways. So I can go and say, yep, today is good, clicking anywhere else, and the dates populate forwards. These are all target lead times, and this is how the whole system is driven. So as people use the software, these buttons are ticked, and these are like real time from wherever you use your time and attendance software, or you can come in here, or you can access it from your tablet and tick these boxes off. So you can be at home and go, oh, I remember I didn't tick this box off. But yeah, as people use the time software and they say job done, these boxes get ticked off. So the process is you're going through and these boxes getting ticked off and all the dates, and you know who's done what, when they've done it. If they haven't done it, you can also get notified via an email trigger, or you can get you can see it through several screens, which we're just going to have a quick look at now before I come back to this window.
Okay, I'm just going to jump in here for a sec and ask the boys, yep. Brad, Dale, did you have any questions? Feel free to type into the box. The other thing I wanted to mention, Aaron, was it's really, really early over there right now, so I wanted to thank you for getting up, especially to do this demo.
That's part of the job.
Brad, Dale, any specific questions that you have now that you've seen a bit? All good so far, says Dale.
Yep.
Brad, any specific questions? Just so that we make sure you get the most out of this demo, you're seeing what you came here to see.
Okay.
Nothing from Brad. Okay. Aaron, looks like
cool.
You're good to go.
Excellent. So here's our, it's just a screen. And what this is all about is making sure those target dates are being met. If a target date isn't met, they show up red. So if we met the next target date, it goes green. So it's just a record of saying how these leads are tracking. The orange means I should be doing this today. Okay,
right.
So it's keeping everyone accountable, yeah. And we can filter in on people, or people can look at what they're meant to be doing,
yep.
And look at anything by status, and you've got all the filters there.
Yep.
So the other one, and this is a really good screen just here, is, and you can see as we click everything here, the history is up the top here. So we can choose, and I'll just move this down here. we can choose the information we want to see on this screen. We can look at leads, we can look at both, we can filter off information, we can look at job types, statuses, operations, anything that we've got on this screen here, we can basically print. There's our PDF showing everything in a status.
So basically you're putting tasks to a calendar.
Yeah, all those target times in the leads of the jobs are now showing on this screen. Okay, this is a really good screen to say, okay, well, let's have a look at all the jobs that are currently in machining.
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is, and we might say, okay, oh, listen, we might want to move that one just back a day, and we can move the target dates with it. So that was on the other screen where we can move all the target dates with them, and everything else will adjust and move around. Under the screen here, we've got the search, so we can put in the, let's go 80-25. And once again, you can just see the information that you want to see. So that can move the target dates with it, which is dragging all the operations. Yep. And that's all based on the lead times that you set up when you did the automatic checklist.
Gotcha.
Okay, on any of these operations, we can also set up an automatic email trigger. So we can set up things like I'll just show one. So these, we can have an email in there and say when a target is due, or the operation is ticked, or the operation is partially ticked, we can put minus or plus dates in there to notify people or notify the client of where the job statuses are at, or if a target hasn't been met.
Cool.
Okay, so back to the lead. We've got a lead here. I can see we haven't done a quote because it's got 0 value. So that's one that we probably started in this morning.
Yep.
Once again, here's all the correspondence that can be added, and that's got all the templates. We can click auto fill, pick your templates, welcome the client, click email, add attachments, and send us PDFs and add other email, and it's fully featured.
So what I really like about this is every cabinet shop, and you know, as you would be the same, we've been to hundreds and maybe thousands of them. Everybody's got this paperwork sort of that's just flowing around from place to place, right? Mm. What I think happens here in Jobman is we're able to take all of those different sheets and paperworks and job tracking sheets and put it all into Jobman, all into one place.
That's right. And it doesn't happen overnight, but you need a system and processes that you can evolve your business around, rather than around people. So when you've got a system like Jobman, and this is part of the strengths of businesses that I've been involved with, is once they've, people can plug into the business and plug into the systems rather than the business plugging into the people that have bought their own systems or invent systems as, they're required, or the staff think they're required. You're just building yourself up for failure. When you've got a strong system that all the systems can plug into, and the people can plug into, and there's no constraints, especially with, usability might be one constraint, or the fact that it wasn't cloud-based, browser-based software.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, here's the catchphrase I like. When you improve your systems, you improve your people.
Correct. Yeah, and they do. The staff morale lifts, everything lifts, and there's a lot of hidden benefits behind using, good software. People love using good software. That's, there's no argument there. People hate using bad software.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So communication is great. We've got all the checklists, all the paperwork kind of flowing into one simple place. The other thing I'd probably mention here is that everything that we're doing here to a very large degree is user defined. So
everything, all the drop-down boxes, everything in the user drop-down boxes can be user-defined, from spec questions to all the lead types, the lead statuses, the lead operations, the job operations. All the templates can be customized. You can have multiple templates for different types of clients. You can have, I don't know of any limitation that we haven't been able to accommodate so far.
And this is the great thing for me, Aaron, because as you know, we've all got different opinions on things. And the great thing is everybody can set this up to use your own language, your own words. Your leads can be called whatever you want. And the great thing is we just look at how the business is doing things and then make the software do that. And what I found with a lot of different pieces of software is you've got to bend too much to meet the software needs. And that's one of the things that impresses me most about Jobman is it's very flexible, but the user-defined areas are huge.
Yeah, correct. And it all comes down to the programmer and them understanding. And because my business partner, Ben, he's a 50% owner in Jobman, and he looks at everything rather than just following orders and breaks everything down and saying, what does the client really want here? And we've reevaluated the whole job management software to build in flexibility that allows anyone in any type of manufacturing environment to pretty much mold this software to the way they want to go with it, without, we're just following manufacturing principles and manufacturing standards.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because there are a lot of people out in the industry that I meet that really don't have the knowledge base yet to know what the software should do or how it should do it.
Correct.
So the nice thing now is that you guys are actually following pretty standard manufacturing principles, which goes from tracking time in a job, in a quote, into actual capacity planning. So,
right
it's
through and every step
one
in
of the
between.
dangers. You ask too many people what do they want, and they'll all tell you different things, but not things that they should be doing.
100%.
Yeah.
So this quote template has come a long way since about a month before a Weezer. We've been very responsive to one of our clients and who wanted a much better quoting system than Jobman already offered. And it was one of those areas that we really wanted to concentrate, and where the focal point for any business is getting the quoting right. So with that said, we can pick different templates to show different information in the top and the bottom that can all be set up on the template where we set up the templates. Here we can define and say that this quote is just for a room only, or you can pick multiple rooms in the quote. You can build a quote from as many quote presets as you want. So I'm going to try and put this through very quickly. I could literally spend 2 hours just on quoting.
Getting a little nervous.
I kid you not. If you really wanted to get into the nuts and bolts and everything and ask all the questions, I have spent a long time in this, but for this exercise, I'm just going to show you what we can do. So picking a quote preset, we can just go and populate the quote with a list of cabinets. We can quote with all these different headings. So items might be a linear meter rate or just a unit type. Mm-hmm. A heading stops the percentage reading up. A subheading allows the percentage to read through it. So I can go and change any line or add a line anywhere in the quote. So under here, I can go add a new item and change that to a percentage. So even though it's a quote preset, we've got full editability. So as soon as I click there, it picks up that cell, and we can put in a 20 or a minus 20%. And as I add the values in, it'll go through. This can talk to Cabinet Vision, or it can be just a CSV of all your products. So here's your product. You can have that as just an item, or just reading through the rest of it. You've got your subtotals, you've got your products, which you're seeing there. You can have sundry items. So I'll bring in another quote preset for sundry items, or it can look up your availability chart or your job appliances, which can have also prices associated with your job appliance. So from here, one of the big things for the industry was to be able to quote your doors and your cabinet components independently. So I'm just going to activate those cells so that you can see what was going on there. So I can go doors, cabinet, and I can look at my width and look at my height. So here's my height. I like, as an Australian cabinet maker, to have it like so. Okay, so these fields automatically filled out and I can just pick what I want to price with and update all the overrides. Okay. Now, as I pick these items, they will populate over there, and I can put the quantities and so forth, and the template will only print out stuff that's got a value associated with it. We can just choose templates just to show headings and subtotals if we want.
Yep.
This is also looking up a matrix, so we can put up prices just to adjust the price on the fly, whether it's being so forth and so on. So we can go in there right down here, and I can go in, add in another quote preset. It might be something like hardware and labor, which will add the other features. So we've got some hardware items and some labor components that we can fill in. So I put in 25 hours in there and 10 hours of that, and we can come in here and add a new item, and we can come in here and then go add another quote preset and go trade sundries. Sorry.
Getting calls this early, Aaron. Wow, that's impressive.
It's one of my workers. Yeah. Or normally an Eastern Stater.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So here's the sundry items, and we can just have all these items here as well. So we can just pick, what's getting applied over here, and these can all have basic prices associated with how many of these we want.
So the danger
these are other fields.
Yeah, like you say, we could probably spend 2 or 3 hours.
Correct.
The point is,
this is the thing. So I'm pretty much finished here. We can export this to an ORD, which can populate cabinet vision. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it works awesome if we want to bill of materials or we want to optimize a job, because these are looking up your cabinet libraries, which can be look at the cabinet name, height, width, and that'll give you what is required in cabinet vision.
Yeah.
We can email this directly to the client. We can print it, which I'll just have a look and show you. That one there is, I'll just click save. Okay, I had a 0 value. We've just incorporated the ability to add in the quote template your spec sheet questions as well. So that's an option in template where this can just be included in the template quote template or not. So we just added that literally yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's a question I had for you on Monday, wasn't it? Where how can we show all those specs if the customer wants to?
Yeah, on the quote. Yep. That's all possible on the template now. And I just looked up one of the things on the what's new on our Jobman site, and I saw, oh, Ben has done that, and I had a quick look, and I went, oh yeah, there it is, and I added it in, and there it works. So I need to document that and inform other people
That's huge.
how to do it. But it was literally, a 2-minute investigation for me, and I found out how to do it.
Beautiful.
Okay, now, just since the other night, Bruce, when we caught up, we've shifted the invoices also into the leads component now, so we can go through, and let's say this quote's accepted, so we can change the status of this quote and go to accepted, save. So now we can go to this invoice, add record, and I haven't actually tested this, but here we go to a partial invoice, and we can invoice a component of this and go add, and there's the amount come through. We can email that directly to the client, or we can change the status to submitted. Submitted, and that will appear in your Xero drafts on your accounting software, like Xero.
All right, so now we've got into, you've talked about it communicating with Cabinet Vision, but now you've actually you're talking about it communicating to and from Xero.
Correct.
And is Xero the primary one it communicates with, or will you link with others?
It does do Moab as well, Moab Online. as a cloud-based bit of software. There's plans to do QuickBooks Online,
Okay.
but at the moment, Xero is our preferred option and probably the one that most people are looking into and chasing right now.
Yeah, cool. That's fantastic. That answers a whole ton of questions, because if you put the entire job in, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time working out what's remaining for the 40% invoice, and then the 30% invoice, and then the remaining 10. You're saying that that'll do it all automatically for you now.
Correct, and you can see it all from our invoices screen. Okay, so we've just shifted that. Did only exist in the jobs, so we've just moved that into invoices.
Yep.
So now we can send an invoice, and even if they don't pay that invoice, it hasn't turned into a job until we say on the checklist that the deposit has been paid.
Yeah.
So that when we tick this box there, and you probably didn't see it happen behind the screen, but as soon as I tick that box there, the lead disappeared, which would have automatically created a job.
Yeah. So the cool thing is, people that have Xero would have got the projects module, would be paying extra for it, because that was the only way to have this done automatically in Xero. Now, Jobman does it better and more automated. Correct.
Yeah, and what it's doing is increasing transparency, so people that need to know can see, okay, this is good, the client has paid the deposit, I can go and do the rest of my job. And at any stage, you can say, oh, they've paid up to 70%, I'm allowed to continue, dispatching this job, or whatever that status is and the rules that you've placed for your company.
Yeah, or exactly, or say, no, this job isn't going to go out because the final payment hasn't been made.
100%, yeah. And things like we can put jobs on hold as well. So at the moment we're still in the lead, but we can put a job on hold and basically stop any operations being recorded against this job.
Yeah, so if they haven't paid by this date, it automatically goes on hold. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Doesn't automatically go on hold, no, but you can actually put a job on hold.
On hold, okay. It could be a notification or something if something didn't happen by a certain date.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you can put automatic email triggers in to say, oh, this hasn't ticked off by the date that you thought it would. And that just means people are making sure that these target dates that can be adjusted on the fly and go, oh, no, that didn't actually happen on that date. We're just going to move that and untick those operations just to keep these records true and correct.
That's really, really good.
Okay, so moving through quickly, these are the job specifications. These are completely customizable, tailorable to the different job type or lead type. And you can have questions that filter for the different area types. So different questions, different headings can apply to different areas. So they've all got the filters that you can set up in admin. Okay, here we can choose the way questions are answered. We can pick up things like our availability charts. Okay, so it's telling us not only the brand, the color, the finish, the sheet size. So clients, when your client liaison person is picking a product, they're picking a real product, not something in their imaginary make-believe world that they think existed last year but doesn't exist today. So, it's a really good thing.
Plus, you're not handwriting something that's illegible.
Yeah. Which I've forgotten about that reality. I have been working, I forget people actually handwrite stuff. I'm just thinking they just do something so old as, put it on an Excel sheet and just go, what?
Most of the people I deal with, Aaron, are.
Yeah, correct.
It's all paperwork.
It's just the world you live in.
Yeah.
So forth, and you can build this out and you can add whatever questions you need that are important to your business.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, and of course you can add as many. And another good feature here is even on this one here. Let's say if you've got the same questions, I could say this is a kitchenette. Okay, so it's the same questions, but it's now a kitchenette. So you don't have to set up all the different types of kitchens, all the different types of butler things if the same questions apply. Appliances. Now, this really tickles some cabinet makers' features, and I'm not going to get stuck into this, but quickly, let's say I want to go in here and pick a model for that one, and this can put the website, so these become links, and I'll just go and pick that just because it's red underlined. So you can put received by, the bay location, the status of it, so if you want to control all that, cut out dimensions, everything. It's a big thing.
Massive.
So yeah, and just you can have all this hyperlinked in website, so you can just click on that. It'll take you straight to the website. Or have some printed documents that you've set on your server, so it'll locate that sitting on your server.
I guess that's the other point when you bring it up here to have everybody understand, is that the information in Jobman sort of sits here, but there's also the ability to link files, external files, and pictures to this one particular job. So
correct. So here's, I'll just quickly show you. Jobman is creating the background, all of our under our lead database. So every time you create a lead, Jobman creates this comma separated file folder where your file structure can be set up from an automatic template. Same with our job database. And here's your file folder. The great thing about this, if you want to save your cabinet vision file in here and you're just looking for a company, there it is there, and you can go bang and just save, whatever you like. We've been saving a lot of information for this particular client.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get the idea. And that way it's all linked through this file. Very good, Bruce. You've asked the question at the right time. But you can see all this associated files where you can email files directly wherever you've got access to internet via Jobman. So it might be on a tablet, or your computer. So you can upload files directly from your device, so they'll be accessible to everyone who's got access to Jobman straight away. You can move files around within this area, straight through this. You can email files directly to your client, and I'll show you a better example with some data in there later. And we can look at all the operations that anyone has done to this job, okay? So we can see what's going on. Now, this job.
So just on that, the thing that I like about being able to attach photographs, we may get to it, we may not have time, but I just thought I'd mention it right now. Obviously, if the boys are on site taking pictures of a kitchen that you finished, if that's part of your process, once we're done, we take photographs of the bench tops and the doors and everything. Guess what? They're not scratched when we left.
Exactly.
And here's photographic evidence of this, and it's attached to that job, so it's easy to find. So that in 2 weeks' time, your builder or your client doesn't say, guess what? You've got to come and replace these doors because they're scratched. You can say, sure, here's an invoice, pay the invoice, and send it to your Chippy or your Sparky who scratched the doors. It's that little feature alone could save or even create a company thousands of extra dollars every year, because you've got now black and white evidence that you guys didn't do the damage. Happy to fix it, but someone's going to pay for it.
Exactly. Yeah, and we've got a great feature that also allows for that instance where you can have alert and say, call it job finished, and take 3-4 photos of one alert and save an alert that has all the photos and shows the status of all those.
Good. That's so important. Yeah.
So you can see the lead, because when I was in the checklist area and I came in here and said ticked off lead sign up, that automatically in the background on the other screen created this job 8032. So let's just jump into there and have a look at our jobs. Once again, I haven't shown you this screen, but this is an auto sequential job numbering system. It handles work orders, which is a job within a job. So they get the point 1, point 2, point 3. We can make any job a work order to another job. So you might have set it up differently and you go, I know that really belongs to that job. You can align them with that. I can see over here, I haven't set any target dates for these jobs, so I'm just going to do that one now for the one that we just created. And we jump straight into the checklist. And once again, these are the statuses with the operations assigned to the statuses. These are completely customizable per company. Okay. So we can come in here.
I'm just going to jump in here for a sec, Aaron. I'll see if we've got Brad and Dale, if they're still on the line. If you boys just type in one thing into the box that you've seen so far that you think, just type in one thing that's impressed you the most. or something you might have a question on. See if we can get them engaged in this conversation a little bit here, Aaron. Just one thing that's impressed you the most, or something you have a question on. Brad, Dale. All right, Aaron, keep going, and we'll see. They're probably thinking about it. So let's, keep going. So now we're in the job checklist, which is different from the lead checklist.
Lead checklist. It's the same process. We need to know when these operations need to happen if we're going to meet this install date. So if we've said to the builder, we're going to install this job on the 18th, okay, do we need to process all the targets back to a date to tell us when we really need to start this job to meet this target install on this date? Now, when we get to this point here, we might call the client to confirm that install, and at that point, we can lock the target. Once again, as people use the system, the time and attendance software, these boxes get ticked off, okay? The date that they did it. We can come in here, say, no, we didn't actually do it on that date. We did on that date.
Yeah.
We can also say, oh, listen, we don't need to order anything for this job because I'm doing it for my father-in-law out of offcut, so we can just ignore, everything to do with that operation. And it skips the operation and won't come up on any the warning sheets like the bar sheets or the target calendar.
Right.
Same with the agenda screens. Okay. So yeah, once again, customizable. You can have multiple job types. So in here, I can say it's a renovation, and I can say it also has painting items in it as well. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to go back into that job, and now if I go into the checklist, it's included a couple of operations called send parts for painting, receive parts, painted parts. So we can see right here, normally we would have gone from the 9th to the 10th. If I go and change this day just by a day and process that just forwards, this now has gone from the 10th to the 11th to the 29th, and it's allowed 2 weeks or 10 working days for sending painted parts and receiving them. So that's when we can press go on this job again. So you can do that at any stage through this operation by adding multiple jobs or job types. So it could be painted or it could be acrylic tops or whatever it might be into the job to get this automatic flow. I think.
Yeah, and as you know, this makes me a little bit nervous being a lean and a manufacturing guy. I want to use capacity planning for a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
I fully recognize there's many ways of doing things, but I do get a little nervous if we haven't seen the quote and say, look, I've allowed 4 hours for this and 5 hours for that. That's actually where that's where I would prefer to see those dates and times. But the checklist can still be used to say, yes, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And then we get into manufacturing the items, and then capacity planning would then take over from there, wouldn't it?
Correct. No, this is just giving us the actual amount of days. It's not looking at the hours. The hours are to do with the amount of minutes assigned to the products from the quote. And I didn't really get into that.
Yeah.
The operations themselves can be manufactured and can automatically control the amount of minutes. So here's the 23 minutes and the 53 minutes from the amount of cabinets we've assigned onto those operations from when we did the quote. So these can populate the actual capacities.
Exactly. That's important, because that's the amount of time and money that you've allowed, and you really want to know, did it actually do that or didn't it, so that you then adjust your quote next time.
That was an Eastern Stater.
All right, every time you do a demo, I get more and more impressed. So
yeah, so work orders is just a whole job within a job. So we can just go add a work order, and it gets the status 1, and we can go through. And as soon as I click save, basically we can use work orders for maintenance. So we can set the job type up here. We can put it straight into any maintenance. We can say it's not a renovation, it's just a bit of maintenance, or we can say it's, whatever. We can create different work order types.
Okay.
We can use work orders for even maintenance, cleaning, just other operations or things that we might need to happen with a job or not even be job related.
Okay. Look, Aaron, I've just noticed, I apologize to Brad, I didn't see Brad was actually using the Q&A section of Zoom. So I'm just going to fire off a few questions for you. You'll be able to answer these very quickly. Brad's asked, can Jobman import from Cabinet Vision Bid Center data? Answer is yes.
Excuse me, just 1 second.
So yes, Brad, the Jobman does import from Cabinet Vision. Yeah. Are the models pre-populated or will you need to input? Not sure what you mean by models. You're probably meaning the appliance models. Yeah, okay. So
someone's calling in sick.
So the question is, are the appliance models pre-populated or do they need to be put in?
They're pre-populated as far as, no. This is your database, you put the data in. If you've got this in a CSV format, we can populate the back end for you. But no, we don't have any appliance data that's pre-populated for you. Yeah,
cool. All right. Thanks, Brad. But I'm sure that we could probably create some sort of a dummy file or something. And
oh, yeah. No, I've got some dummy data in there. But yeah, I don't have all the brands with all the different product codes and all the different cutout sizes with all that sort of stuff.
It would be a big ask, wouldn't it?
It's some people want to just do SMEG only. Some people do, just have an alliance with whatever.
Yeah, and it changes from month to month sometimes too. So it's really a matter of once you implement it, pay attention to it because they may update that same appliance to have 5 mil difference in the cutout.
Yeah, normally. They're getting a lot better now. The right same models have the same information and they bring out a new model. What the good thing about this, if it's entered once, it's there for everyone.
Yes.
And that just stops people doing the same data day after day after day, which happens in every shop. They're always going out and, measuring that same appliance, checking the same cutouts if it's not database. And this is doing so much more. It's giving you all the other information for the cutout sizes and, who's measured it, when they measured it. I don't know if you saw that, but on this one here, it says cutout side and they measured it on that day by who did it. Yeah. So there's accountability and responsibility.
Yeah, it is. That's a really huge element of this software.
It is, and it's only applicable to our trade, but it's a good, great little feature.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, I'm going to skip through some of these. So these are just operations, people doing what they're meant to be doing when they're doing it. We've got a full history here as well of everyone that's ever clicked any button in this software to say that they did something on any date. So it records every record that anyone ever does. So we've got the extras. I'll skip over that. This is a big one. This is where we can assign hardware directly from the job. So this can be automatically populated from the lead. So this, as you can see, all this data is coming in because these parts were in the hardware. I haven't got a lot of quantities entered on that, but this all just came in. We can add records always to this. There's 2 fields in here that are searchable now. So I can put in a product code or I can put in the color or the details. I can also start filtering my, the stock type, and it looks at what I've got in stock or what I don't have in stock. So double clicking on anything just populates all this, and then we can say how many we want. If it's coming from stock, once again, if I just go and click on this field here, okay, it's bringing up, oh, there's not even one of those in stock. There's only 0.5 of stock. So yeah.
That's interesting.
So we've got lots of things in here that are dealing with keeping your stock levels true and correct, and making sure we use stock when we use these filters. And also you can see up there the stock, or if it's been assigned from a supplier, and that changes up there.
Yeah.
Okay, from here we've got our purchase orders. We can generate a patch, an order. We can pick a supplier. Okay, I didn't actually assign anything in that previous order. So let's just go to raw materials and just pick something. And
so this is the big step for a lot of people to get into using purchase orders. Certainly a lot of people I deal with.
Yes.
Do I understand correctly that if we've done this in the quote, it will go from the quote to automatically to purchase orders?
It will go to the raw materials. We can batch purchase orders, or we can create a purchase order on the fly. So
Right.
for this job.
But
Okay.
what I'm getting at is does the quote, because the quote will have bill of materials in it.
Correct. That just populated the raw materials.
Cool. So that saves this big, gee, I'm not sure what we need type of thing, and you might make a mistake.
People are creating, as they do the job, they're just going, okay, I'm going to keep. It's like you're not up to that purchase ordering stage, but you're letting either from Cabinet Vision software or the quote or wherever you set these items up, that as you're building up this job and you're saying, yeah, we need one of those from stock, or we need one of those, you can say, yeah, that's done, and there's a history, and you can see when that was added, and you can build your quantity out of that. So
it's a little bit like a requisitioning goods first,
correct,
transferring into a purchase order, right? Okay.
Correct. From there we can go and pick. We can do a batch purchase order to our suppliers at the end of the month. So I won't create one, but here's one. We've just got an item. We can pick multiple jobs. So I can look at this one here, and we can say multiple for that one. And we've got 2 different job numbers, and we can go print to our supplier. So Laminex, that's not a good one. Let's go to this one, Hayfley. So here we've got 1755, 1756. We can print that, we can email that, and we can see all the product codes with all the different job numbers, the unit types, unit price, everything else in there.
So there's a couple of things I wanted to mention here that's really, really important from an overall business perspective. We've started off with a lead, and we've created the flow through the lead, so we know your sales conversion process is the same every time. So one of the things that Jobman does that I really like is it creates a flow through leads that should guarantee a higher conversion rate, because we're creating a conversion process for every single lead.
Yep.
When a job is created, obviously then there's a process that you go through as well. And now when your client knows that process, they become a whole lot more comfortable. In this particular situation where we're talking about purchase orders, when we've got jobs, what works really, really effectively with businesses is if we can batch purchase orders together. So you've got a purchase order that has the Smith's job, the Jones job, and the Smith whatever job. There's 3 different jobs in one purchase order. Because once that purchase order goes out, you then have to receive those goods. Now, when you have a receiving area in your business, and that receiving area asks you to call up the screen that says what purchase order is this stuff from, line by line by line, it'll identify the individual job, but you've received them line by line. And all of a sudden now you've got a receiving department in your business that says you've received these goods, and you should also allocate a spot for them to go. Because over the years, I've been consulting for almost 20 years, and this particular feature alone has been proven to save thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands, yeah.
Because, 2 weeks ago we received this thing, or I think we received it. Where is it? I don't know. So you ordered again. Maybe you didn't actually receive it and you pay for it twice, or maybe you did get it, you don't know where it is, and you pay for it twice anyway, right? So that whole event in most businesses reoccurs daily sometimes. And when we force a purchase ordering system that instills regularity and system between what's been ordered and when it comes in, you actually have to go to the screen. And it gets actually really, really easy, because the paperwork on the items that come in, you'll ask them to quote the purchase order number on that picking slip or whatever it is on the documents. It's already there. And they're going to go, oh, great, finally you're doing this like everyone else. And,
Mhm.
and you'll just pull that sheet off and you'll search your purchase order number in your system right here. And you'll just receive, like you're seeing here, receive 1 of 1, 2 of 2. Now, Aaron, if there's 5 and you receive 3 of 5, so
Yes.
in receiving, you've only received 3 of 5. What happens then when it's just 3?
It's not fulfilled. So this date only becomes up when fulfilled when you've received the total of the ordered quantity.
So if you receive 3 of 5, you've got 2 outstanding. What happens with those 2? Do they stay here, or does it create
They
another?
stay here.
Okay.
So the complete order is not fulfilled until all the items are received of all these items. So the status of this job doesn't change, of this purchase order doesn't change to completed. So you can see on this screen all the totals of what's like it stays red until the totals are fulfilled of the purchase order. So I can see I've received 0.36, only 22, 20 of 32,
Nice.
and we've got all the status and the filters all up the top here by suppliers, the statuses, and so forth and so on.
That's huge. Yeah.
It's huge. And the amount of businesses that I've been to, and I'm trying to train someone or trying to do something, and because I'm talking to middle or upper management, and they've got these guys constantly walking up the stairs and saying, "Oh, was this ordered? And was this
did you order
done?
this? You need to order this."
And it doesn't
stop. What is it?
It's a relentless thing. And when they're talking to the drafter, this drafter's getting interrupted, which I know creates mistakes. And yes, he did it, or he did do his job, but nobody can check that he did his job because they don't have the system. So it's just this circle that is detracting from their profit margins on a daily.
You're absolutely right. It's not only the extra ordered items or the lost items that you're reordering; it's the time and inefficiency.
And it multiplies. Everything multiplies, and that's why companies that put these systems and go through the bit of pain that is required to get them up and running, sit back and enjoy the benefits of the pain that they put in. No pain, no gain, as I say. Yeah.
So we're getting close to the hour. So what else do you think, Aaron, is the big ticket thing that we need to?
Cool. I really just want to cover probably 4 main things. One, we've done the invoices and everything else like that, and you've got the alerts feature. Without going into it too much, but the alerts feature is an awesome thing where we can filter all our statuses. We can be on site anywhere, and we can see, attach a photo. We can look at the photo, look at those issues, and that will automatically email the person that deals with that type of alert. We can create a work order from there. We can email that work order to somebody else. We can assign it to another staff member. But everyone on this screen here can look at the alerts that are assigned to themselves. They can look at the type of alerts that they want to look at. And basically, this is a toolbox meeting in one report, and you ideally would like to see these going down month by month, and you can look at the status and you're just saying, okay, we've got all these, but we don't have any that are dealt with. So you can talk, you can just filter out, well, I just want to look at what's been reported or what's been status. You can create your own alert statuses, your alert types, and who obviously they're been assigned to.
Awesome. So Brad's asked a really good question here.
Yes.
Around the capacity planner, which of course, as you know, is my favorite section. And he's just said, how do you know if you have enough capacity in the factory to meet dates? Let me answer this one how I would answer it, then I'll let you go, Aaron. Obviously, if you have an end date put in, and the first thing that's put in is the end date, true capacity planning works from a pull schedule, which starts from an end date. So when you put in your end date and work backwards, it'll tell you what day you should be starting. If it happens that day is yesterday, then you don't have enough time, right? And so then you'll have to decide what you do. Do you move the end date, or do you move other capacity constraints around in your factory so that that particular job can meet its time? So capacity planning in the factory is a big thing, and it's a great question, Brad. How do you know if you can? How do you know if you can do the job? And so it starts with putting the end date in, and then allowing your capacity planner to work backwards through your workstations to say, right, we have enough time, we can start on Wednesday, or we don't have enough time, you need to move some things or move your end date.
Yep. Okay, so the capacity planning, the way we've set it up, it's called rough cut capacity planning. Basically, in this industry, people call in sick, and we need other people to pick up the slack where it leaves off. But looking ahead of time, I can see this one up here. in the office for this operation this day, we've got too much happening and it's gone red. We've got these color coded. So the green is what we're trying to achieve when the amount of hours for the operations that are assigned to this labor center. So the labor centers are all to do with production machine center. We can go into any labor center and say, okay, for these operations that our drafting people do, we've got per day 12 hours, or how many hours. So if I've got three drafters that can work, 8 hours a day, we just put in 24, so forth. So depending on the capacity that we've got here, this is the minutes that have been assigned to the operations for these to complete.
Officially known as man hours available in that station.
Correct. That's what we can pick on these screens here. So we can set up our capacities based on the machine centers, and we can just choose which ones we want to see here. Yep. And this is all drag and drop as well. So we can go, okay, we want to, let's say we want to make it over capacity. We can just keep loading up a day and assigning and try until we get a whole week that's all green. If it's yellow, it's under capacity. Grey is way under capacity, and red is over capacity.
Yeah, and I should also
all those percentages are all set up in the config center here. Yeah. So we can just look at the capacity planning component here. So we've got our percentages for when those change colors there: underutilized, minimum, maximum.
So the other thing that we probably haven't mentioned that everybody should be aware of is that there are user defined when you log in, you have access to certain areas and you don't have access to certain areas. So I bring that up now because really the only person that should be allowed to drag and drop anything on your capacity plan should be your production manager. Anybody else doesn't have that ability to just shuffle the thing around.
Move it around. That's right.
Now, Brad has asked, is there a summary report that your builder can receive every week with measure and install dates?
Measure install dates, yes. So on any of this, we can go on the target calendar.
Yeah, just share the calendar, right? There you go.
He's got show you the target calendar and just go to your status and just put that into, if you want to filter by status, you can just installation and just show that information and print that screen out.
Easy answer. Live, not weekly or monthly. It's live any day, right?
Yeah, and you can choose what you're seeing on this. You can do per month, per 6 weeks, per week, and choose the information that you want to show on this screen. Obviously, I wasn't showing data there, so I can take off this filter. And yeah, if we're looking at
Yeah. The other question Brad had was, is the interface for the site, what is the interface for the site guys to see what they need to do? So it's basically just a browser login, isn't it?
It's a browser login. We've got a couple of new things. So we've got this new target map. So the target map, we can look at anything and we can filter the installers. So we can, this is a really cool feature that we've just built in. I don't have a lot of data here, but I'll show you basically something where I've got a lot of data, and that's my internal Jobman software for, just looking at.
You're showing us the magic.
Yeah. So here I can set a date range of the data that I want to look at this screen. I can show whether I'm looking at, this is my own internal Jobman, but it's got real addresses with real things that I do in here. So this is saying that I should be a very busy boy chasing up all the leads. But this is what I can do. But back on this screen here, okay, I can just zoom in there and this will just populate all the dates with the target dates and the installs. So these could be all installs set in a date range where we can actually assign the installer. Yeah. Now the installer, just going back, piss off. So done. Go away. So we can now go to the job, go into here, and go to our details, and we can set any question we want in here. So these are customizable, but on that, if we add a new one here under the, I'll just quickly take a detour. Under the job details, if we change any of these ones here to a staff, so we can create our own job details that will populate Jobman, and as soon as we tick a staff answer type as here, that will automatically populate onto our, where are we, our target map. So that will populate this field here. So I added that manually myself. It populates onto the screen, and anything I pick on that person will show up on the screen
I think
by
what
the status types upwards. But anyway.
Yeah, I think what Brad's asking is, what's the interface that the installers or the site guys would see?
So they can look at a couple of things. Basically, they can look at opening this one in a new tab. So they've got this one here. So this is a tablet interface where they can see all the correspondence for doing the job. They can put in the job number, 8001, enter. So they can look at basically the checklist.
Oh, yeah, cool. So they have a checklist to follow.
They've got a checklist to follow, and they can tick this off on site when it's been done.
Yep.
Okay, they can look at all the correspondence that's associated with this job if they need to know anything. They can look at all the alerts that are currently, or create an alert on the job straight from this screen here. Okay, they can look at, I'll get into that, but the specifications, so they've got full access to see, you know, anything that they might have informed here. So this is what the people can access on site. They can look at all the associated pictures and photos here.
Yeah. What does the agenda screen actually do? Brad's asking.
Okay, the agenda screen that I'm getting to here, we can look at this on site as well. So we can look at our agenda screens. We can have an install for, I don't have one set up for install, but we can look at all the statuses of the job. So I'm just going to jump into that and spend a bit more time on the agenda screens, because that's quite a big one. On the agenda screens, we can look at information. It's all to do with the target calendar, and we're filtering the information in a status, and is working on to the target date. So the target date goes higher unless we change its priority. The priority can be set by just double clicking on it, going to the production specs and changing this number. So standard level 5 is every day, how you're going, standard priority. Then we can go in and add notes to the overall job to say why this is a high priority, or we can assign write a note directly to an operation. So if we need someone to be notified of something, we can write a note directly to that person. When that person logs onto that operation, they're going, oh, there it is.
So essentially, the installer can have an agenda screen that shows everything that they need to do.
Yep.
And also, the question here is, if there's a damaged panel on site, the installer has a way to feed that back to say, I'm on site, this is damaged, this is damaged.
Correct.
You action it. So the answer is yes.
And they can do that from their phone as well.
Yeah. So we don't need to get into how, but yes, it does.
Yep.
All of those sort of features.
Yep.
And probably 5 others that you hadn't thought of.
Correct. The phone is limited at the moment. We can only record time and attendance and create alerts from the phone, but the tablet is pretty fully featured, and we've got more coming on the tablet. But yeah, for recording the alerts and the tracking their time, and seeing where they're logged on, logged off from, is a great feature from the phone. The tablet itself can be, have a lot of features on there to see all the agendas and see where things are at.
Yeah,
and also,
go ahead.
Just on the target map, here's one. When you click on any target, you can see the person, the operation, and the contact number, all that information there. So as you're driving around and you might be doing that one, or you need to go and you might be the installer, but you forgot to install something and something close by, you've got that information right there, and you can actually pull this screen up on your phone. I used it the other week. It's not designed for a phone, but it does work on a phone.
Cool. Well, look, and the other thing I'll mention here too, from my perspective, is we could sit here and ask a million questions all day long, and some of the answers are going to be no, we don't have it, but it's on our list to do it. Or if it's a good idea and it's a good feature, you guys are probably going to add it anyway. So,
correct. I really feel that I've got through pretty much out of the last 20 demos I've done. There's been little to no questions that I haven't been able to answer in a positive way.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Aaron, look, I think that we've covered pretty much, unless anybody else has one or two more questions. I'm really happy with what we've covered here. There's a million things.
Been a good overview of this software, and unfortunately the demos, as the software's grown, the demos have grown longer, but there's a lot of details in there. Please feel free to look at the documentation.jobman.com.au site. That is very well documented and goes into a lot of features. Also, how do we move this? Yep.
So I guess at this point, you've shown some awesome stuff. The software is obviously very, very vibrant and agile. The one thing I like is to be able to work with someone. I mean, no software is 100%. That's just a fact of life.
No, 100%.
But the difference I found with your team is that you're willing to work with someone, and we can actually work directly with the developer, and you don't have open access to everyone.
No.
But certainly you take things on board, and if it's a great idea, you'll certainly consider implementing it.
100%. And even on our documentation site, basically here, we can go in and here's our support ticket site. So we can go there and there's our support ticket. So if there is development or something like that, we can quote on it, we can create a support ticket and schedule it. And yeah, depending what it is, but we do, and here's evidence of that. Here's our What's New tab, and basically all the features and all of our so here's just last month. These are all like little bug fixes or adding features. So we put features in there, and this is updated to our clients on a quarterly rotation of just adding features and updating their site. Now, while the software is very usable, we've got 3 full-time programmers now just making this software the best factory management software available that we've come across, and people just always want a bit more. And some of these things are just, very minor.
Pretty simple, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're busy.
We're responsive.
Yeah.
And this one here was one for a client, and they really needed that. So there it is. Bang,
So what's the best way to get a hold of you? Because this obviously was a fairly quick rundown. What's the best way to get a hold of you? If anybody was seeing this now or playback, how do they get a hold of you?
Yep. Either email aaron@jobman.com.au or call me on 041 456 3304. Just on our website, jobman.com.au, there's a contact us link right there, and that should come up. Why didn't it come up? So there's a contact. You just can click on there and you just put that information straight in there, and I'll call you literally back the same day.
Yeah, that's excellent. So anybody that wants to get a hold of Aaron, that's how you do it. Anybody that wants to get a hold of me, same thing, just jump on the website. Certainly what we've been finding since we've been working together, Aaron, is working with a business like I do fairly intensively, embedded in the business. Once they know what they want to do really, really clearly, the software installation is really easy because you're not going through all sorts of, do I do this? So that's, for me, that's where
Bruce, just for the other guys there, as Bruce suggests ideas, I'm putting him into the template site that we set new clients up with. So here's our template site. And basically, as Bruce suggests ideas, I go, oh, that's a good idea, Bruce. And I throw it in the template site. And from the new clients that come on board, they get that access. And, so everyone is getting a default template to start with, where a lot of, the things are already set up. So, this can be configured, but, it's just helping people with their foot up and getting their system to where they need it to be.
Awesome. All right, Aaron.
Thanks for the opportunity to do this, Bruce. And Brad, Dale, if you need anything else, give us a call.
Yep. Thanks for getting up early, and we'll end it there, boys. Thanks for attending. You're welcome, Brad. Let's chat soon. Like I say, there's all sorts of things that can happen here. we want this transition to be smooth rather than painful. So let's chat soon. Aaron, have a great day. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks, Bruce.
Dale, have a great day. Cheers.
All good.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Thanks, mate. Goodbye.
Cheers, bye.